welcome to Flory Models daily vlog. Well, almost daily vlog.
Indeed.
It's Q&A Tuesday, and guess who's back with us?
Hello.
Sid's back with us today.
Come to pay a visit.
Come to pay a visit back here.
Indeed.
So missed you so much. Need you back on Tuesdays. Bless. So what have you been up to?
Work.
Busy working.
Busy working. Got into obviously met a couple of new friends at work.
Yes.
Who do Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to convince me to go and have a go at Warhammer. So
Right. Okay. So Warhammer. So if you're thinking the dark side of modelling is armour, what does that make Warhammer? Is that like black hole material or grey or?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
You know, it's all modelling at the end of the day. Still a kit, still needs to be painted and weathered. Some of the bigger stuff is
all good armour stuff. There's some good chunky bits of armour in it. So
yeah. Will you be gaming?
I don't know.
Find you in shops on Saturday mornings?
Oh God, no.
No? Oh no, right, okay. Not going to that extent, they're wading you through the rules.
I must admit, it would be interesting to play a game of it, just to see what it is. I've obviously done a bit of research on YouTube and watched a couple of games, so it would be interesting to see what it's like to actually play it, but whether I take it seriously or not.
Any favourite clans so far?
Well, the only one I've looked at is the Blood Angels, which is like a humans type.
So they are humanoid rather than
a combined mixture, rather than being completely. One of them is like was it Wolf something, Space Wolf?
Yeah, which is I reviewed it. One of the guys, Richard's, I think it was Kits, wasn't it? With Wolf
which
one.
is obviously on wolves, and we got some that looks like aliens.
That's it. Some are skeletons.
Yeah, some look like the what was it? About Terminator? That one that was made out of the liquid metal.
Oh right, yeah.
Some look like a bit like that. So yeah, it's all different selections, I suppose. So I bought one kit just to see
if it ignites your passion for it.
Like you say, it's quick and simple, hopefully, to put together.
Yeah.
And then you just spend a little bit of time painting it. So and it's a sort of thing that I would have thought that you can sort of spend 10 minutes on painting it rather than having to worry about cleaning your airbrush out and preparing it and everything else.
Obviously a lot of hand painting, but a lot with those is dry brushing, isn't it? Washes and dry brushing to really make them pop. So.
But no, see how it goes and see what I think of it.
Joe, flog it on eBay, you go for a fortune.
Exactly.
You could be a full-time painter thing, you know.
But then apart from that, we obviously went off and played our airsoft over the weekend.
We did, yes.
We haven't done that, which was good fun.
We haven't done that for a while. Yeah,
no, we haven't. So no, it was.
And thanks to Ian, he shot me and I shot him.
Yes.
I have a cracking bruise the size of a 50p on my thigh to prove it, and he wasn't even that close.
I wasn't.
I was bruised very easily. It was.
Obviously caught you unaware.
Yeah, you did actually. I was right on your flank, and that's it. I got shot.
I did see you flinch.
I did.
Which I had a little bit.
Have you seen the photos of us on Facebook?
I've seen.
There's one of us looking actually quite tactical going down through the maze field. I'm at the front for some reason.
I must have missed that bit.
It was taken from a bridge.
Right.
Because he's looking down on us. You can't see my face. I've got my hat on, but I can see. I know it's me because I've got you behind me.
So I saw the one where I was lying on the floor.
Yes. Yeah.
Saw that one.
Looking very tactical. You're probably having a sleep.
Probably.
Right. Well, from here, to be honest, Chris was here a moment ago, wasn't it? Chris has just left us. Nice to meet you, Chris. New member and everything else. Popped up to see us for a couple of hours. As we pointed out, I haven't painted this one yet. So no, not quite. Going to do it tomorrow. Spending a bit of time, been running around doing other things today. So we'll be on with the metal work of that one on there. Thank you for all the kind comments about the RB6. It was a pleasure to do, and no, I'm not planning on doing another one anytime soon. No, it's a joke. I might do one at one point, but I'm all right for the moment now. We've done gloss. Covered gloss. I'm still going to do the gloss tutorial because that's what most people are asking. It's not like great model fill, it's just like when's the gloss tutorial. I will do it probably next week. I'll spend a day and we're going to talk about all the different types of glossing we were saying, like a quick protective gloss coat, a decaling gloss coat, and more like I call lacquering, the thicker, heavier stuff, and different ways you can do it. So obviously using things like Fuchsia, using the expensive ones, which are obviously people's own glosses, like Tamiya gloss and everyone else's, and then right the way through to differences between polyurethane ones, acrylic ones, and then obviously the lacquer-based ones as well. So that's the plan with that. So poor old Buster, he could be very shiny at the end of this.
Because you don't want to ruin your model after you've painted it.
No, not ideally.
No.
I don't want to re-gloss something now, put it like that way. They're just about dried out totally, all of them now. So there we go. So, as I say, the next part of this will be up with you tomorrow. And then by tomorrow's vlog, hopefully it should be very nice and metally and shiny with any luck.
Lovely.
Fingers crossed. So anyway, today is Q&A day. You have your questions coming through. I've got a lot to catch up on. So what I'm probably going to do, because I've got more questions than I've got time to do answers, is throw a few in during the daily vlogs as we make our way through. Purely because, as I say, I'm on page 6 or whatever it is on here, and I'm still on page, I don't know, not a lot, 3 or something, you know, so still got a lot more to get on with these ones. So anyway, first one up, Adam asked me, just wondering if you've ever built the 1/48 scale Revolt Eurofighter Typhoon. How does it compare to the 1/32 one? Yes, I have. It used to be a video build back in the days of bad jumpers and hands.
Which we love.
Which you all love. I tell you what I'll do, for a limited time only, I'll stick it up on the actual the YouTube page on a free-for-all to everyone to watch it. Because I'm good like that. Purely because it's cringeable to watch and it's horrendous. And it's in the tiniest format you've ever seen. Because back in the day when, like, you know, we were high-tech, 320 pixels, that was it. And it was actually a disc one. Yeah, the actual DVD, record onto a DVD-R. So you can hear it going, as it's doing it. That was the terrible thing as well. You could physically hear the thing. It's horrible. So yes, so that's a real blast from us. I will stick it up because it is there. All the old ones are there. It's just I try and hide them. We'll put that up. And if you haven't seen it, there is some freebie stuff now available on the actual YouTube channel. It's called Free to Air. They're not going to stay there all the time. And no, I'm not putting up lots of them. It's just particular episodes from some of the builds. So I think you got part 15 of the new Typhoon build up there, as in the Airfix one. That's up there, and then I can't remember the other one. Oh, there's one of the Easy 8 ones as well. Has gone up as well.
Oh, that was part 9.
Was it part 9? Have you watched that one? Have you?
No, I saw the email that I got to say that you posted it, so I wondered why that was there.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's random stuff, and I'm going to put them up. I'm going to leave them up there for around about 2 weeks, and then they'll disappear back into the shadows, and then something will come up to replace it. Mm-hmm. So we will stick up the entirety, because I think it's only 4 parts back then. I used to be able to build it's amazing now. I used to be able to build a model with 4 half-hour segments. Now it's like 15-parter, isn't it? I don't know why it's taking. You think I'd be getting quicker, but it doesn't quite work like that. So we'll get that one up for you as soon as we can. Also, how likely, it's always a good one this, do you think Bandai will make a Y-Wing in 1/48 scale? I found a resin one, but it's quite expensive. Just want your opinion before I put it on my Xmas list. P.S. In case you pronounce my name wrong, you can you say it like you do Challenger tank. Oh, so it's Adam Challenging. Oh, Challenger.
Challenger.
Oh, Challenger. So it's got an in it. Mm-hmm. So it's Adam Challenger.
That'd be nice if they.
But nowadays I don't say second names. I just put first ones
exactly.
in because it's just me. I don't have you to struggle anymore. So yes, are they bringing one out? Not that I've heard of, if I'm honest. There is some in fact, I know of a very, very nice resin one that if you look on YouTube is coming out studio scale. So I think it's going to be 1/16 scale, maybe 1/24 scale. It's a monster.
That's a shame because it would go nice with your X-Wing.
It would be go nice with the X-Wing, but I haven't heard of them doing bigger scales in any other ones apart from the X-Wing as of yet. There's a rumour going around at the moment that the new X-Wing, the the blue one we had up there, is going to be available in 1/48, but I can't confirm that. I've just a rumour that I heard it going around. But we're hoping for good stuff, and don't forget, if you're like me and a real anorak, you've probably already pre-ordered the new Millennium Falcon. It's only in 1/44, it's not massive, but I've got the new 1/72 X-Wing coming, and then hopefully this time next week, in fact I'm surprised it's not quite here yet, I have got Boba Fett coming and Slave One. So yes, they are on their way, all ready for our Star Wars month, which starts December the 1st, all through Christmas, loads of time.
So does that mean that through the whole of December you're going to just stop everything and just build Star Wars?
Yeah. Well, my plan is when December arrives, I will finish everything else because it'll be good motivation to get everything done. So when we get 1st of December, I'm literally going to sit here, and then there may be a day break. When's the 1st of December? If it's like a thing, but I'm trying to do 1 build per day.
Okay.
That doesn't mean I can edit it because technically editing might take a bit more. But I've got down there, I think we worked out, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we got 12, 13, 14. Got 14 items coming. and I've got that monster coming, the big black thing that's going to stand in the corner.
Yeah, so that's not just a day then. You could get away with one every couple of days.
Every couple of days editing me. So yeah, we could get that done. And I say I have got a big surprise coming, which is due second week in December. There's no way I'll get it built in time, but some of it will be done.
That'll be amusing.
That'll be amusing. So yeah, definitely watch this space. If you want to see, it'll be our biggest ever model to date. Literally, it's going to be around about 6'6". I think it works out at, but something, and I have got to build it and weather it and all the rest of it, so it'll be lots of fun.
Me and Adam and anybody else come along, when in locals, be like you do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're all going to go to the Star Wars film premiere, aren't we? We're going to dress up. I'm going to go to Princess Leia. Going to get some buns, little white robe.
We're going dressed up, are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
What? You're not good? You got to, haven't you? Fake like Tina. I'm there. I'm going to tell you. Too much time on my hands, but yeah, that's the plan. Oh yeah.
Okay. So does that mean I've got to find an outfit then?
Yeah, you're Yoda. Little brown one, some ears, you'll be fine. No problem at all. I could
just dye me Karate Kid outfit then.
Yeah, see, reusing it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yoda / Karate Kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be like the prequel ones where he's like dancing around like a ninja. So yes, don't forget that one. Remember, get all your Star Wars kits. That's why I'm watching everyone's building them at the moment, aren't they, on the forum? Like,
no, stop.
Just stop now. Wait till December. Yeah, we'll do a video on it all and all the rest of it. Anyway, I'm hoping you're coming. Actually, you're going to paint with me to do the TIE Fighter.
Okay.
Because you can do the other one. Because since you built it, you might as well paint it. So you can help you with doing that lot as well.
Fair enough.
Okay.
That's a date then.
That's a date, yes, definitely. Tuesday's date would be alright. Okay, hey Phil, lots of us are looking to geek out our workspace and man caves. Can you give us a tour of your studio, shelves, toolboxes, setup, behind the scenes of your world? Or if you've done this before, but we did, but it was ages ago.
It was.
It was a long time ago, actually. I think it's when we've pretty much only been here about a couple of months. I did one. I will do another one because you've got Sid there today, you can see behind Sid, I've changed things. It used to be my stash. We now have display cases with models in. Funny, I have to make room in that one.
Indeed.
And then I'll clear all that stuff. Because some of it's kits and something else for something else that's going to go down there as well, and everything else. So yes,
I could be a mobile camera person.
You can do cameraman for that one, and I'll go round and show them there, so I can show them the editing as well. Free. Yes, we can go upstairs to the office, and I can show them editing on all of that and the bits and pieces. So yes, definitely, we'll do that one.
Indeed.
So yes, no problem. Stay with us, Todd. I will get that sorted between now and Christmas and all the bits and pieces.
You could do it as a New Year piece.
Or as a new year piece and all the rest of it, yes.
Give you something to look forward to for the new year.
Absolutely, we can do that one. Okay, Josh says, Phil, is there any way to get AK's extreme metal paints to thicken? Or is it low air pressure is the key? I've been playing around with it yesterday, and when I was spraying it, it was very thin. I used their jet exhaust paint. Now obviously we're going to cover this tomorrow in great length and extent. The only thing I will say is I wouldn't worry too much about air pressure. It's more a case of putting this down evenly, but if I'm honest, this is probably the easiest metallizer paint I've sprayed, including acrylics. Like, I think this stuff's easier to put down than the Vallejo stuff, because it doesn't seem to matter what air pressure, or even if you flood the area badly. We had those bits earlier, you put them back.
I have.
You have.
Tidying up.
You did. See, the video after day, it's perfect. Place is getting so much cleaner. I missed you so much. So yeah, to be honest, like this part here, it used the AK paints when we were working on the Airfix 24th Typhoon back there. I flooded this. I mean, dripped it. It was drowned, and it dried back, and it came up probably the best of them all. So with this particular paint, it's a lot more forgiving to spraying it than something like Alclad, shall we say. And let's face it, we're going to be using Alclad as our benchmark, if you like. I'm not going to be spraying it because I don't like it, but it's definitely the best one out there until now. Unless this goes horrendously wrong, and then I'll go back to Alclad and we'll be spraying it Alclad. But let's face it, over the years we've tried different things. We've used guns buffables, we've used that waxy stuff, which is... yeah, it didn't work brilliantly. Let's just say it didn't work out. I've got a model up there, it turned blue. And all the rest of it. So hopefully what we'll do is with this one, we'll get rid of a lot of myths, show its ease of use and everything else. Because Buster had a good coat in it before he turned back into being naval plane again. And it worked a dream on him with no problem at all. But we will definitely see. This time we're going to be following the manual. These are the new ones. We do have to say, a big thanks to AK. They've been absolutely fantastic. Fernando has been absolutely a star to all the members. Everybody who said they've had a problem, they've sorted out and sent some goodies and bits and pieces and everything else like that. Did you say you had a full set and sent them back?
I didn't know. I didn't.
You were good.
I was a good boy. Seems it was your full set that you gave me.
It was my full set. You had one of my full sets and everything else. Never mind, you did get a nice book now.
Yes, you've got me a nice book. Yes.
So you're all right.
Got a book and a sticker.
And a little conversion chart thing in there, I think there is as well.
There is as well, yeah. That's what fell out on me at the same time.
That's it. So yes, but that's what we're going to be concentrating on tomorrow. As I say, I'm going to spend probably 2 or 3 days because we're going to be looking at putting it down. We're going to be looking at obviously the air pressures, the fors and against for using it as we're putting down the main coat, and then obviously hopefully Thursday I'll be then overcoating it, basically masking over it, making sure it doesn't peel. Hopefully it's not going to peel, and all the rest of it. If we're doing different panels, then we're going to talk about obviously decaling onto it because everyone wants to know how you can decal onto it, so we'll be doing that, and then obviously it's going to be weathering it. So how does it stand up to weathering? I'm led to believe this stuff is almost industrial strength and doesn't be affected by anything, so it'll be interesting to see if it is as good.
Be interested to see whether you need to use as much of your decal setters as well compared to what you would do on a normal paint.
No, absolutely.
So that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. So definitely, as you can see, the white work's all down on there, so that's going to get masked up literally later. I'll probably do that tonight, and then tomorrow we're going to get in there and get spraying it and painting it down.
Your best part.
My best part. That's the bit I like. Okay, Steve asked, Phil, quick question. How do you recommend gluing chrome parts? Do you remove the chrome first from the surface first? Yes. In a nutshell, most of your glues, especially the hot action, weld action ones, won't eat through that chromy layer. So what I tend to do is, if it's something like a bumper, for instance, when I did my truck over there, I used a PVA glue and used that to stick it on because that's good enough grip to hold it. But if you're trying to do something that's a little bit more, it needs to stay on there, it needs to be something structural and fixed, then definitely scrape clean a little bit where you've got the join. Drop of weld action in there, that will seal it up and take care of it. What you will find if you use things like the white top, the resin one, this one and stuff like that, it sits on the top and will literally ping off. It just doesn't have enough grip because it's such a polished surface, it can't grip onto it.
Yeah.
And all the rest of it. Okay, massive load of questions here from Peter. Question 1. Okay, can you give us at some point an overview comparison of clear coating, please? Okay. We're going to talk about that in a couple of weeks' time. We spoke about it a minute ago. Stay with me. We're going to do the clear coating one probably next week, and hopefully that will cover everything. Number 2, can you compare AK metal colours to Vallejo metal colours, both just recently released? Most often use colours. Not decided yet on which range to go for, but happily use Vallejo air guns for normal paintwork. I've heard AK Interactive do work equally as well. Do not work equally as well, so I've avoided them, but with metallic colours it may be a different story. Yeah, okay, if I'm honest, we had a bit of trouble with AK paints when we were doing some colours. The German one we were fine with, but the RAF one we had a few trouble with, their paints. I can't speak outwardly, but they did have a few problems in the early days. I think they've now fixed most of them, but I haven't been back to use them, but that's why we didn't use it when we did the Hurricane, which is now over there, it's moved, because we had a few problems with their paints, but then I used it for the underside and it worked a treat. So, but yes, as for difference in paints, we've already covered that in shows gone by, because Buster had a go with both of them.
He did indeed.
Basically, the way I would sum it up, if you want to go down the acrylic route, then obviously Vallejos are the best ones to go for. They've got the best coverage, they don't smell, they're absolutely lovely, no problem at all. And hand painting, this stuff is absolutely fantastic. But it is only to a certain level. It is not as good as your Alclads. I keep picking that one up, that one's not even thingy. Metallic purple, get nice colours. But yeah, so the thing is that these ones here, which are like the proper metal color ones, are always going to be lacquer based or something else, whatever these are, because it just gives you the finest pigment, which gives you the best looking metal. Okay, if you had to say which is the best acrylic one, I have to say the Vallejo's new one is very, very good, and it's almost as good. Okay, but it's not quite this stuff. It doesn't give you that deep, gorgeous luster and the shine and pick up colour reflection purely because of what it is. And it is the limiting factor to an acrylic versus, you know, something that's got a finer pigment and all the rest of it. Like this colour here, this is steel, isn't it? Stainless steel. It has that blue tint. You can see it in the bottle. It has a gorgeous tint to it. You don't get that with normal acrylics and things like that. But again, we're going to be looking at obviously the OK stuff down in here. Yes, they did have problems. Yes, they've all been fixed. Yes, I've got a complete new set from them. And thank you very much to Fernando. But say, stick with us with that one. We'll do it all tomorrow. Okay, comparison of lacquers. To be honest, we're going to cover that in next week as well. I'll have that up for you hopefully by Friday. Okay, Phil, is there a way of watching subscription videos only directly on YouTube by subscribing to them in some way? You can. Obviously, I don't want to talk about this openly on the thing because otherwise everyone will just go out and start watching them. There is ways of doing it. Basically, if you become, obviously if you're a member, go and watch the video on the actual Flory Models site. Okay, and then you can usually go, if you're watching it on a smart TV, go full screen from there. It then takes you to YouTube, so technically you're watching it inside YouTube and you can do it that way, and various things. But there is ways of doing it, but obviously I don't want to mention them right here. Shoot me a PM and I'll tell you how to do it. But there is a backdoor-ish way into getting to the videos, but obviously we don't want to talk about it here because otherwise everyone will just go in there.
Indeed it would.
And do it that way. Okay, Anthony Greaves. Hi guys, hope all is well. My question is using clear. Would you use expensive airbrush or a cheap one? If you're using a cheap airbrush, would it give a worse finish than the finish? Cheers in advance. To be honest, I don't have trouble spraying clear. You put clear through yours, don't you?
I've put clear through my Neo and the Evo, and I've not had any problems with both of them.
Because you got an Evo CR Plus with the 2mm.
I do, yeah.
No problem with that at all.
No problems at all.
No. And what do you use for cleaning it out?
Again, I just normal cleaner.
Yeah, airbrush cleaner. Yeah,
normal.
To be honest, that's all I do.
And I must admit, I've done your trick as well. To obviously, being the cheapskate that I am, I've actually mixed the air cleaner with a bit of water and other bits. 50-50 mix, and again, I've had no problems with it at all.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the same as me, aren't you? You use this stuff.
I do indeed, yeah.
This is my airbrush cleaner of choice. Obviously, it is the Vallejo one. It's their standard one, 71.199. I've used this stuff now for the last 10 years, it must be now. And I don't think anything acrylic-wise, it won't clean. But I know some people, you're a little bit worried about putting clear coats into airbrushes. Just treat it. It's a clear paint at the end of the day. It's a clear gloss paint. Just clean it out as you normally would. As I say, Sid does what I do, which is take half a bottle away. I've got normally spare bottles over the backside, and literally one is half water, half cleaner. The other one is neat. I use the half water one because obviously you get more for doing those blast clean outs, just flushing through, washing down the outside of the airbrush if you've got paint down it, all of that. Then the final, when I'm done throughout the day, I put the good stuff in there just for the final clean out. I do it like that, and I've had no problems with my airbrush at all. And I never find clear built up on any areas or anything else like that. No. So yeah, that's the way I do it.
Spending too much time around you. See,
yes, it's all rubbing off. See, with a professional. Okay, right. Randall says, "Hi Phil, new member. I've recently enjoyed all that the website offers. Have a few builds completed and thought I might try a few upgrades to my next kit. Been thinking about the 1/48 scale B25 Shark Mouth by Academy." What's the one you built? Is that the one you did?
It wasn't Academy, it was the Accurate Armour one. Not Accurate Armour.
Accurate Miniatures.
Accurate Miniatures, but I believe it was a Reebok or something, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right. By Academy number. However, not too sure what is offered for this particular kit, if any. I live in Vancouver, Canada, and was wondering if you could suggest a few e-commerce sites that offer competitive pricing for aftermarket items that I could order and deliver to the west coast of Canada/USA. I mentioned USA as I come across to a mailbox I have over the border in Washington State. To be honest, I'm not too sure about the American side, that bit of it. Sprue Brothers tend to cover everything, and I think they're one of the largest retailers now in the US, especially for all your aftermarket stuff. I'm not sure about that kit. I'm aware of the one you did.
Yeah.
Because as far as I'm concerned, the Accurate Miniatures one was the best.
That's what I was told, yeah.
In scale, and to say it was reboxed by Italy, wasn't it? Which you got the Atari Reebok?
No, I got the actual.
You got the real one, yeah. And all that. I'm not sure of that particular kit. A lot of things like the photo etch tends to be quite generic. The best way as well, if you go onto the Hannants in the UK, so it's www.hannants.co.uk. If you go in there and put in there B25, it also comes up with related items and usually all the aftermarket stuff below it. I'm pretty sure Sprue Brothers does something very similar, so it might be worth having a look on those sites. But I've never actually built that kit.
I must admit, and to be honest, I didn't feel the need to put any aftermarket.
Well, your one, I must admit,
it was
very detailed,
really good detailed.
Yeah, it is a nice kit, that one.
I'm sure you can super detail it if you wish.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, hats off to you if you can. But I'm at the stage now where I don't know. I just didn't think it needed it.
No,
it was really nice.
It is a nice kit, I must admit. Have you actually done any more to it? Is it now stalled a bit?
No, yeah, it's stalled. It's all painted. I just had to fix the undercarriage and stuff, and then put the final gloss coat on it.
Because it was looking really good when you had it over here last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. I've done all the bits on it. I just needed to do the undercarriage. So, but as I say, obviously with work commitments, it's been put on a hold, so to speak.
Stalled project.
It was.
Never mind.
But it's still sat there in front of me on my shelf, waiting for just to remind me.
That's it. Keep hinting.
Exactly. Please.
Okay, Stuart Weir, hi Phil, and the rest of the team. First of all, thank you for bringing my enthusiasm back to the hobby. I'm about to finish my first model in 20 years. It's the Airfix 172nd Fokker F27. Cool, talk about throw yourself into the deep end. I think that was a new release 20 years ago, wasn't it?
That just take 20 years to do
it. Yeah. Royal Dutch Air Force.
It was his first one completed in 20 years.
It could be it. Yeah, it's the same one. Yeah, the kit date back to the 60s. So there we go. The thing is 50 years old now, this kit. Right. It's not a brilliant kit. I would have to agree. I was able to use skills which you make seem so easy, but most of which are totally new for me. Sanding, filling, rescribing, airbrushing. I made a lot of mistakes, so the learning curve has been huge. My question, I use Vallejo primers with a 0.2 needle evolution airbrush, but that has left very rough, coarse finishes at some places. Do you have any suggestions to correct this and how to prevent this in the future? Many thanks, and everybody else. To be honest, if you've got dry, rough texture, it's that thing. Two things that can happen. One is, quite handy, got some airbrushes here today.
It is.
Your distance from your shooting your airbrush to your model. Normally, 99% of all rough texture is because by the time it comes out the end of your needle, it's flying to your model, it's drying. As soon as it touches, it's dry, and it just builds on top of each other, and you end up with that sort of sandpaper texture effect. If you get that, grab yourself a polishing sponge and just polish it out. And you should find it'll be nice and smooth and you're good to go. The other thing that can happen if you're doing it, especially on something like the Fokker, is that when you get a 90-degree angle, so we got like one down here on the tail, if you're airbrushing it and you're coming like this, the vortices come down, bounce off, and they sort of do a loop around, and it affects how it goes down this area. And to be honest, and you can probably feel there, if you feel there, and it's rough, and you feel up in the other areas, smooth. So this is exactly what we're talking about has occurred here. If you watch some of my videos, you'll hear me say it, and I'll say because we've got a 90 degree, we go in nice and tight and we put a wet coat down there. When I'm talking wet coat, it is literally that thing of putting the paint down. It physically looks wet as it hits it. What that enables everything to do is to melt, blend in and settle, self-level and give you a smoother finish. So for instance, when we were doing lots of glossing and lacquer coats, we needed a wet coat to go down. So you're putting down heavy wet coats as you go right the way through, so it's got time to level and basically smooth out and all the bits and pieces before it dries. Okay, normally when I'm talking about airbrushing and I'm showing you guys, I tend to say keep it dry so you don't get wetness. So that's why with me when I'm spraying, you can see me handle the model as I'm painting it, because I'll paint one end and then I'll grab it and spray the other. That's because it's dry, it's touch dry already. Okay, that eliminates things like runs, spidering and all things like that. But in certain areas, like 90 degrees, things like that, you can get a rough texture, and normally that is what it is. So you can either do a couple of things as well. Moving closer is obviously always my preferred choice because it's quick and easy to do. What you can also do is add a little bit more thinners to your paint, so it's a lot wetter mix, okay? So instead of it being sort of a standard 50-50 mix, perhaps make it more of a sort of 60-40 mix. Because it's wetter, it will take longer to dry. Or the other way is, if you're in a hot country, I can never find this bottle, I think I have it on a bit of string somewhere. You'd have something like a flow improver or a retarder. Basically, they are like oils that you put into your paintwork, and it slows down the drying time, so it stops it drying as it's flying to your model and getting that type of effect.
Can you use a retarder in the primer?
I've never tried it, to be honest. Yes, I must admit I haven't tried that.
Okay.
It'd be interesting to give it a whirl. To be honest, my stynal res, I think I spoke about it on one of the vlogs the other day, or if I haven't, it's in this video build. When I was spraying it down, all of a sudden my airbrush cut out. Pump it, comes through, and then dries out. And what it is because I didn't mix this properly, and I reckon I've used now, because I've used off of this bottle, probably around about a third off the top. I think I took the thinner layer, and it worked fine. But now I'm in the thicker stuff, I'm getting stopping and starting. It's getting a bit. So I think it was. If I had mixed it thoroughly to start with, I wouldn't have had a problem. Obviously, leaving the top off probably doesn't help either. But generally, that's what it is. So I am going to have to try and thin this. So I will probably start off with my usual way of thinning stuff when I'm not too sure is airbrush cleaner.
Right. Because
I know airbrush cleaner cleans this stuff up, so it must melt it.
Yep.
And obviously with airbrush cleaner, it has got things like retarders in it and all those things, because it's what keeps your needle all soppy and moving and stops it jamming. So that's why I normally put it into acrylic items. So I would probably put a couple of bits of that in here and try and thin it a bit with that. But in theory, you're quite correct. You could stick in a flow improver, and hopefully it's not going to affect anything that's going in there.
So I notice that occasionally when I've put primer on, I've got the roughness. But what I've used is one of your blue sanders.
Yeah.
A real old one.
Yeah.
That's almost gone.
That's it.
And I will use that gently and just rub that over, and that again,
takes the top edge, just the bite out of it.
And then obviously that's then ready then for the main paint to go on, which I find works as well. Obviously with me being colourblind-ish.
Yes.
When I do the primer and then I'm putting a grey on top of it, I don't know how, but somehow I can actually then see
the difference.
Which helps me in a way. So yeah, no, it was a good question. That was.
No, it is. As I say, I wouldn't worry too much about obviously your needle size. Usually, if you've got a bigger needle, obviously it's going to flood a bigger area, but a 0.2 is perfectly, I think, acceptable in here. I must admit, I didn't get involved, but there was a conversation going on somewhere the other week, and somebody was saying, you shouldn't use 0.2, it's too small. Rubbish. 0.2 I think is fine. I've never had a problem with it, especially spraying acrylics, but then if you're doing things like technically enamels and lacquers, they're even slightly thinner, you won't have any trouble with it at all. But a lot of people do say that you need a bigger needle, and I think this comes from, because it does say on the back here about spraying this stuff at 2 bar and using a 0.5 needle. Okay, but 0.5 is a really big needle. I say with H&S brushes, Hydro and Steam Barcosa, they tend to do 0.15, 2, and then you can have 4, 6, and 8. So they don't do 5 or 3.5 like Iowata and stuff like that. So, that's the thing to it. But I think people have read this and have run along with the idea that you need a bigger needle for spraying this stuff. I don't think technically you do, because the thing is, if you put a bigger needle on, what you will notice is that you chucked out a hell of a lot more paint, and you don't want to flood an area, you're just trying to prime it, not completely splat it all down. So, but I think that's where that's coming from. People are reading off of the back.
The only advantage as well, possibly doing the bigger needle, is obviously if it's a bigger model.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you're doing a bigger model or gloss work, bigger needle, because you want it to be that wet look. You want to put down a nice thick heavy coat like I was doing anyway, then a bigger needle would definitely help. And I think I mentioned that in those videos, that hindsight, getting my head around it all now, understanding how the paint's working, a thicker paint, a bigger needle gives you that nice wet look down there. That's not necessarily how I'd want to paint something like this using I wouldn't want to use a huge big needle in here, because you're going to flood it and it's going to be all over the place. And also the way I look at it, the bigger the needle you use, the bigger overspray you get. So, and it goes airborne and all those things as you're using it. So, but yeah, definitely a very good question. Okay. Here we got Jason Smith. Hi Phil, over the past few weeks you've been speaking about different levels of gloss and making sure that they're scaled appropriately. I was thinking about it and wondered if the same could be applied to chrome. I know with building scale cars and vehicular items, we look for that perfect true monochrome finish. Mirrored chrome finish. But thinking about that, I wonder if this will be accurate if you figure in the scale effect. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this topic. Yeah, chrome is a weird one, isn't it? Because chrome is chrome, and it, by its definition, should be like a mirror. So could you technically scale chrome? That would be my thing. Because if you have a mirror, it's reflective, isn't it? And from my point of view, if somebody said to me, it's a chrome finish, I'd think it's like a mirror. Mm-hmm. So could you actually scale chrome?
I think it'd be quite difficult.
Because like wing mirrors on bikes and on the RB6, they use that plastic which is like chrome. And then you stick it in the gap. But I don't think you could physically scale it. Gloss work and anything else, you could take it a degree off. You know, we were speaking about that toffee apple effect the other day, where if something's over gloss, it just looks like a toffee apple. It just doesn't look natural because it's all gloss and no colour. Because it's just reflecting all the light around it instead of seeing the colour. And I think this is it. And actually, I've just taught myself something really good there because I was trying to explain it to somebody the other day. But it is that thing. Sometimes if something is too glossy, it just reflects everything around it. So all you're seeing is a reflection, but you're not seeing the colour that you're trying to highlight. And I think that's it. And I was trying to explain, I couldn't think of anything decent to write.
Well, there you go.
So I've actually taught myself something today. But for instance, my bike, I think I've got that spot on. The RB6, now it's deckled, is okay, but it's still extremely glossy. I think it's too glossy, if I'm honest. Somebody said to me, right, what do you think it is? I'd say probably just a little bit too glossy, but the bike, because it's a bigger scale, it gets away with it. But I think if you used to put that onto this, it would look stupid.
I think it would.
It would just look ridiculous because it would just look like, reflect everything. You'd see a mirror image of everything around it, but you wouldn't see the metal. So yes, I definitely think there is a effect, but with chrome, I think it's one of those things because it tends to be trim, bumpers, you can get away with it. If you had a chrome car, I don't think it would work. No, definitely not. But yeah, chroming is very difficult because technically chroming is a mirror, so I don't think you could actually do that one. Right, we spoke about auto art turntables last time. We'll just skip that one, guys, because we've covered that before. It's just about F clamps. Okay, Phil, please advise regarding the safeguards and protection which I should take prior to coating acrylic paints with primers with enamel or lacquer paints to prevent the hot solvents from starting to melt through the plastic and forming cobwebbings. Say hi to Sid. Since the change, the former live show, since the change in the former live show, we don't see a chance to hear about Sid's projects and how they're coming along. I hope the family and work allow him some time to continue modelling. That's John. See? They all still think about you. That's why I drag him in. See? Right. Yeah, basically the way I would do everything is to put in a protective layer between the two. So the cheapest one is use a coat of Future, because technically if you've got a hot solvent, and the easiest way to work this out is just get whatever you're going to put on top onto a test piece of scrap card and see what happens when you brush over it. So if you're going to come in with a lacquer, I don't know, a wash or something that's got a lacquer base on it, and you're going to put it over something, if it's going to agitate it, and why we're agitating it is rubbing against it, the chances are it's going to break it down, it's going to eat into it. If you're just going to put a coat of it over the top, you should be fine. So if you're airbrushing, for instance, a lacquer coat over an acrylic paint, you'll have no problem with it. It shouldn't do anything. It will stick, dry, and that's it. But if you're brushing it, you're going to bring it. So for instance, if you've got an acrylic paint and you come along with a lacquer based wash and you're rubbing, you're going to go straight through that acrylic paint because it is physically going to eat its way into that paint. So you need to be something else as a barrier down there. So something like Johnson's floor wax, although it's acrylic based, it's got other things in there that will protect it. And make sure it's totally cured and dried as well. As for it melting in and all the rest of it, again, it's one of those things. If you've got it where it's running down the side, it's going to drag and pull it all off. If it's just sitting on top, in theory, it should dry, so you have no problems. Case in fact, I've done things in the past where we've used lacquer-based paints with acrylics and things like that. So you can use like a lacquer thinner in an acrylic paint and you won't have any trouble with it. A lot of it is all to do with when you're rubbing it. So if you're brushing things like washes and that, obviously you're just going to strip it right the way back. Okay, but if you've got an enamel paint that's totally dried on there and you put an acrylic over the top, the enamel shouldn't move.
Yep.
Because acrylic has got no way of attacking into enamel. So I always say you can overcoat enamel with no problem at all with acrylic. It's just that when you're going to go over acrylic with enamel, you have to be very careful of it. Okay, it's a bit like that thing which a lot of people with me go, Jesus, is when you put X28 thinners on top of decals. And people are like, why doesn't it just strip it off? Because I'm not actually physically agitating it. The paint's dry, and don't get me wrong, if I was like rubbing it in and then come along with a cotton bud, we're going to be down to plastic it overnight. But because I put on a brush full and just brush it straight over the top, it eats into it and just leave it. And the paintwork sometimes wrinkles as well, and you go, oh God, leave it, it will self-level and it will go back. But a lot of it is that thing of actually physically agitating it and causing problems.
Bit of friction.
Okay, bit of friction. Can't beat a bit of friction. Okay, there's one there, great one, which Robert put up about making your own tops for colour cups. Bit of a cheapskate corner mount using 1mm plastic art and all the rest of it. I might do that just as a thing, but he did build. Look.
Oh yeah.
Pop on the forum and have a look, guys. As I say, we're not doing picture-in-picture today because we're being cheap. But look, he's even made his own little spray tub.
Very good.
Out of all the bits we have. I think it's very clever, that. The time he spent doing all that, he could have bought one.
There's more satisfaction doing it yourself.
Oh, definitely, I must admit. I'd spray the entire thing, though. Spray it all. So it all looks like posh. That's it. Okay, what have we got? Peter says, hi Phil, love your work, love the site, love the forum. This is probably a little silly question. No such thing as a silly question. Sid will testify to that.
I will.
This is probably a little silly question, but I was wondering what you do with all your models you make. Surely at some point there is a question of space and storage. Well, we've covered it before. Don't forget, all of my builds until a couple of years ago were all commissions. So everything you saw me build was somebody else's, which is ideal. Oh, well, it wasn't ideal because people would come here and say, what have you built? Where's your build?
Nothing.
Where's your models? Don't you keep it? So I haven't got anything actually here. So it's like I don't actually do anything. So there'd be something part done. So I have, but now I have this lot. Some of them we give away as charity things. I don't sell my models anymore. As you guys know, we do a lot with Snap. So to be honest, the Heinkel is too big for me. That was a prize with Snap. We did the Corsair, that went to one of the members who bought that one as well, and the various bits and pieces. Every now and again, I will start having a clear out. I'm going to go. Sometimes I've got reasons they do go, to be honest. That one's going after Christmas.
Oh, okay.
That one's going to a collection, which is very nice. So that one's off on a little holiday. God, I hope it makes it. They're coming to collect it. As soon as it leaves here, that's not my problem.
So you don't have to pack it then?
No. No, they're responsible for all of it. That's part of the deal. You come and get it, you can have it. So that one's going off to a private collection and various things. I may be making some room at some point, and then obviously if anybody would like one, then they're more an offer. You can make an offer, and then obviously all money will go to Snap and the charity, because obviously done our bit with them, so things like that. But as I say, we sometimes we do little projects and things. Some of our stuff have gone to museums, some of them have gone to RAF squadrons in the past, some have gone to US squadrons. Thinking about it, F-15 went to a US squadron, things like that, to be in their little ready rooms and bits and pieces. So it's quite posh. Nice to know they go to a good home. Right, we just have one more question for today, because Sid's got a home to go to now. No,
I have.
Not here anymore.
No, I know.
He's left us.
I don't see it much as well.
What, you don't watch me now?
No, I don't see much of me home.
Home. No, that's you're always gallivanting around the country, aren't you? Doing your thing.
I will be soon. Manchester, Reading, Bristol.
Sound like you're on tour.
It will be.
Do you have a t-shirt with them all down the back?
I'll be in my little van, little white van.
Going along. Sid's on tour. You go around and meet all the members whilst you're take a camera with you.
Man, I could
Sid on tour.
Rather than staying in a B&B.
Yeah, that's it. You can go around every member's house.
Go around somebody's house.
Video everyone's workshops and all the rest of it. Perfect. Okay. Oh God, this is a real name to try and pronounce. Always a good one. I won't ask you, but I will. How would you pronounce that?
Levin?
Levin? That's what I was thinking, so we're going to go with that because that's what I thought it was as well. Okay, Levin says, "Hi Phil, I've been a loyal follower." So guilty now, he's a loyal follower and I can't pronounce his name. For a while now.
Shame.
Watch your vlogs and news shows and the video builds on the train to and from work. So it'll be another one where people say, I know his voice.
I thought you said you was building the train.
No, he watches us on the train. Excellent stuff, keep up the good work. I'd like to bother you with something that's been bothering me for a while. Everybody keeps talking about paint needing to have the consistency of milk. Okay, you haven't been watching that closely because I hate that one. Consistency of milk and be able to be sprayed properly. Somehow I can't seem to get the mix right. Watch my glass of milk a zillion times and it brings no solace either. Is there a recipe for getting the mix right? Been advised to try 70% thinners. Crikey, it's 30% paint. Seems a bit odd, very. I'm trying to find the paint that suits me best. I've been testing Vallejo Air and guns. I've used the HS Infinity CR Plus with the Sparmax TC620 compressor. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. All the best from Belgium. Read as Lee Ven. So it's Levin. So you were pretty close on that.
Close.
Yeah, that's it. I like actually, if you've got a dodgy name that you think I'm going to cock up,
now,
they know. The bit where they've got in brackets, read it as, stick that at the beginning, and then I'll read it at the beginning so I don't completely cock it up. Okay, so if you have got a name I am going to struggle with, and let's face it, anything past 3 syllables is like going to be a nightmare for me. Okay, so Leven says, okay, right, forget the thing about milk. It's very 1970s. I'm going to ask you now. Go on, what's your standard mix for Tamiya?
Tamiya is 50-50.
Right, and if you're using guns?
To be honest, I don't really use much of guns.
True, I must admit you don't.
It's 50. Tamiya 50-50, Model Air. I only put a little bit of thinner in just purely to loosen it up.
Yeah.
You don't really need to thin Model Air.
Well, good job you've been listening then for all these years. I've passed on something. Yeah, he's absolutely spot on. Forget this thing about milk. That was back in the days. I think when people used to use other things from compressors and you had trouble with air pressure. Nowadays, I wouldn't say I championed it, but I must admit I was one of the first people to sort of start saying, forget 12 psi, 25 to 30 psi. It sounds horrendous coming out your airbrush, and yeah, you can blow the curtains as you go in, but it's the way I spray it at high air pressure, so that means I have a thicker paint because you can atomize it. And I think a lot of it back in the 70s when people were using inner tubes, yes they did, car inner tubes to power your airbrush. You can imagine sitting on it, get a bit more psi. But yeah, and like things like that, you know, airbrushes would struggle to get pressure, so 12 psi probably sounds about right. And yeah, you're probably in. If you're using 70% thinners, 12 psi, you're all good in there. But I would say up your air pressure, mid-20s, and then 50-50 mix as your starting point with any standard acrylic. Not your Model Airs, as Sid was saying, because they're pre-thin. Technically, you should be able to take them from a bottle, put it in your airbrush and spray. But, you know, I always usually put a little bit of thinner in just to get it moving. I find that sometimes you get spitting, stop and starting with them. A little bit of airbrush thinners in there just helps them flow a little bit easier. And you don't go over your pre-shading so heavy.
Yeah.
If it's thinned a little bit, it doesn't come off. Have you seen that stuff MIG does now? It's like, I am that annoyed with it, I won't even watch the video on it.
Okay.
But basically they brought out a product that thins your paint, so when you do pre-shading you can still see it, and they've got the balls to charge money for it. I would call it thinner in my world, but no, they call it something else. Really? How? You know, oh God, it's like, oh, you know, that's why I'm never going to get rich. I could never be a businessman and blatantly, I can't say it, I'll get in trouble again. But how you can actually, yeah, in my day it was always called thinner. If you wanted to thin your paint, you'd put thinners in it. But now they've got a product. and you put it in with your paint mix so it shows it out. But all they're basically doing is putting clear into your paint to make it more translucent so you can see it. Well, I would say just put a bit more thinner in and do it that way, but there we go. But yes, for your starting point for all your paints, just go in 50-50 and crank your air pressure up. Mid-20s, 24 to 26 is an ideal range. It's what I tend to spray at. If you're finding it's stopping and starting, getting a little bit sort of spitty, up your air pressure a bit more if you can. If that's not curing it, just add a tiny little bit of thinners. And when we say a tiny bit of thinners, in a colour cup, just cut the drops, give it a good mix, blow that through, and then use that, and you should be absolutely fine with it. The other thing as well, and I don't speak about it as much as I should, but you know, you guys all see me, I tend to come along and I put some thinners in my paint, I give it a mix up. It's actually a bad habit. Really what you want to do is, and that's why I've got about 8 million of them these days, and I've got some
little
plastic shot glasses, which is good because what you can actually do is put your paint in there and see what you've got. That's what you can't do in a colour cup. I'm taking a risk, and the chances are, because I go through a lot of paint, I don't have old bottles around like some of you might have, where you haven't used that colour in 4 or 5 years, and they do go thick as hell at the bottom. In here you can see what you've got, and if it's looking gritty, you know you're going to have trouble, because when it gets down to the business end of your airbrush, those bits are going to get stuck, then you get spitting and all those things. The only thing is, just be careful, because as I found out doing a video the other week, because he's got little feet in the bottom, if you try and put something in here that's got an edge on it, it hits it and then flicks, and I had bits of it fricking everywhere, including over me. I had a bit on my forehead. And
don't leave anything hot in them either, because
yes, don't do hot products, because it's still funny as hell. Came down, it was like, what the hell? It makes it look like it's got a holder, but actually it was like that and melted down into it.
It's a good holder.
It's
a good idea.
Perfectly, it's fused out the bottom.
I think you mastered that quite well.
And the thing is, it's rock hard inside as well. It's, you know, it's not just polystyrene; it's gone crispy. So yeah. Basically, knock up your paint in here, 50-50 mix, get in there. Personally, I always think a brush is a very good way, because you can actually mix it better with a brush than you could, you know, paint stirrers and cocktail sticks. It doesn't mash it down and get the bits out. Then you want to let it sit just for a little bit, then tip it on its side. Because it's clear, you can physically see what's going in, okay? Then, once it's sat just for a couple of minutes, then pour it very slowly in your colour cup. You'll be amazed how much crap is in the bottom, as in bits and lumps and nasties. And this, to be honest, the only reason I go on about this now is because we're doing lacquering. That's what I've been doing, because you don't want any bits, lumps and nasties, because otherwise you're going to get spitting, a flick, you know, and then you've ruined your finish. When you're doing combat colours, it doesn't really matter, you can get away with a lot of it, but down in this you really just want to take care of it a little bit more and make sure you're good to go. So from now on, I will forget obviously, but I'm going to try and show you it being done this way. But really, just go back to basics with your airbrushing, get yourself out a little bit of scrap paper and all the rest of it, and just see what's working well for you. But if you're using Tamiya guns, 50-50 mix, good mix in your colour cup, get it into a separate cup, then put it into your colour cup. Have a go with that, see how you're getting on with that, and just vary your air pressure up and down. Remember, we often speak about it here, it's a variable thing, because your heating, especially now starting to get the heating on, tends to be a bit drier. You might need to make it a little bit wetter, things dry in your colour cup quicker, and then obviously if it's hot and very low humidity, things like that, that can really affect things. And then it can go the other way. If you're in a very humid country, something else like that, then you're not going to need as much thinners in there. So there's a small little margin each side that you just need to slightly adjust how you go through, but definitely 50-50 mix to start with. And then Vallejo, if it's a brand new bottle, you'll probably be fine straight out of the bottle. If it's an older bottle, put a little bit of thinners in there and get it going. And don't forget, do the old agitator trick. Got something wrong within. Get yourself a marine grade. Don't use a normal nut, anything else, because otherwise it's going to rust and it'll go a funny colour. But use a marine grade M5 stainless steel nuts, bung them in, just one in a bottle, and then you can get the lump off the bottom and get it all moving, get it all mixed up, then tip it out, and you'll have a far better mix. Because unfortunately, stuff like the Model Air, these things, they're terrible, because you can shake them up, you're not getting that thick bit off the bottom, and that can affect, because later on you get to that stuff and it's horrible and really thick, and it's a good way of doing it. So yes, there we go.
Indeed.
And we'll be playing with these soon as well. So we've got down here AK's weathering systems. So we've got one here, 3 colour camo for NATO.
This one is a landing gear weathering set.
Yes.
And engine effects, again, weathering effect.
Because recently we spoke about obviously just buying normal oils and making up your own. And it's mentioned to me as well that we don't use other products. So I thought, well, we're going to get hold of some and see how good they are.
And they all come in packs of 3.
And they come in little 3 packs with all your different things on there. But these are the pre-done washes. They're all hot products. They're all enamel. They're not like acrylic and things like that. So obviously you've got to be a little bit careful where you use them. But we thought we'd have a play with these actually. And to be honest, I've already used one of them inside the cockpit on the F104. And it worked a treat, giving it a nice scale effect. Just had a quick wash around with it. First time. And it worked an absolute treat. So we're going to be playing with those over the next few weeks. Seeing how we're getting on with them.
Lovely.
And I'm going to try a few different techniques with washes and that with the Star Wars stuff when we get to that. We're going to try some film ones of doing it, the way they do it in the films. God help us.
Right.
Because that's oil's messy. They just blast it with oil paint and then hit it with a rag. God help us.
Okay.
But I'm thinking we're trying to keep it as the films. So
yes.
I'm thinking we're going to give that one a whirl and things like that. So yes, that'll be that. And a couple of other little techniques we'll try as well.
Entertaining.
As always. Then you can come up and do some builds with me.
Indeed. Why not?
So that's about it for today. I'll be back with you tomorrow, hopefully with the Starfighter looking very nice and shiny.
Splendid.
You'll be back soon.
Indeed.
Get you up here.
Why not?
You'll be buying anything else. Thank you very much for coming up today, mate.
Quite
It's been a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you for having me up here.
It's just like old times. Oh. Now you've got a proper job. Left me for a real job. You know. God. Honestly, you do everything your missus tells you. No. Get a proper job.
Yeah, she's the one that's at home.
Yeah, I know, that's it.
Disgraceful.
Bless her, yes. Love you,
Yeah.
Tams.
Love you, Tams.
She had a big operation on her shoulder.
Which went well.
It did.
It's just the rest of it afterwards.
Yeah, that's it. I said to her, you can't do the YMCA yet then?
No.
No. Can't lift her arms up too far, bless her heart.
Bless.
Never mind. Right, that's it for today. We'll catch you all, hopefully, very, very soon. We'll get all back together and everything else like that. But until then, everybody, I'll catch you all tomorrow.
Enjoy. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.